Welcome, everybody, yet another episode of the Wrestling vs. the World podcast. If you're enjoying your day, sweet. If not, then what the hell ever. So, it's been a bit since I've done a video game review, and I wanted to talk about one that I remember pretty vividly. I'm going to be talking about two versions of this, and it's WWE 2K15. Yeah, the first game that we got over on the PS4, Xbox One, consoles and everything, and it also came to PC at one point. But I wanted to finally cover this. I remember back in the day I did get the special pre-order edition, so it had, in fact I even have to pull up the images from SmackDown Hotel to remind me. You had a version of the game, you had the box art, which I think I actually got threw away, the Hogan autograph, and the piece of the ring from the night after WrestleMania 30, which I actually still have to this day, and even the Hulk Hogan NWO version Pop Funko figure. So those came as a pre-order, and as well with the game you also had two versions of Hogan for wrestlers in there, and you also had exclusive versions of Sting being Crow in his retro form. So nice little additions to add in there. Now, we had two versions of the game as mentioned, Xbox 360/PS3, and you also had, as mentioned, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. The Xbox 360 and PS3 version, I remember, I actually still have even here right in front of me, that version still maintained the original graphics and everything that we've seen in previous games. There was no 2K there was a 2K Showcase mode, if I believe. Yeah, it's been a bit since I've touched the 360 version, but they do have the 2K Showcase mode. They don't have My Career mode, which I'll get to in just a bit. And they actually also have William Regal as an exclusive character on the roster in this version of the game, but not in PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And to combat the fact that they didn't have My Career mode, they had the whole Who Got NXT mode, where you can have wrestlers that you play as from the NXT roster from back then, but then you can also face John Cena matches like you could with The Undertaker from the previous game, 2K14, just without the no disqualification, no countout rules. Just try to get as quick as victory as you can, try to be careful with your reversals and all that other stuff. Now, when it comes to this game, you had main primary selling things, some of the main primary selling things you had, especially on PS4, Xbox One, and PC, you had the updated graphics, which blew everybody away. Because, of course, Xbox 360, PS3, it's not going to compare. And that was also one thing I remember I brought up in some games, even with that version, with this and a few other games that happened afterwards. One thing you still kept seeing copy-paste with those games is the backstage area just being the exact same thing we'd seen since, SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, maybe WWE 12 to start. It was just copy and paste until we stopped getting games on that last-gen console. But everybody was blown away by the new graphics and everything for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. There was an issue, though, with the wrestlers, because on PC you had more Create a Wrestler empty slots compared to the console versions. So I know that was a good critical point in this. But one of the big things they had selling in the game was the 2K Showcase mode. Some of these you had already unlocked, and some you had to get through DLC. So the first main 2K Showcase mode, you had Cena and CM Punk, and this was, of course, created around the time that Punk walked out of the company. And he, of course, he gave them the rights to go and use his likeness, even though he wasn't on good terms with the company anymore because he walked out earlier that year. But you had a lot of classic matches in here, like Money in the Bank 2011, their SummerSlam rematch. You had stuff involving, John Cena going against Alberto Del Rio, the Hell in a Cell match later, and all the way up to their last match that they had, at least within that run back in 2013. So 19 matches you had with that one, which are actually really good. You had the Triple H Shawn Michaels feud, best friends, bitter enemies, going from their matches between 2002 and 2004, which is not exactly accurate because I remember they did the Elimination Chamber and they didn't put Shawn Michaels' shit brown tights in there. I mean, it's a blessing, but also for historical accuracy's sake, there's an issue there. Now, and also, almost forgot, even with the Armageddon 3 Stages of Hell match, that animation that they had for Triple H winning the World Heavyweight Championship and posing with it, that was based on the real-life animation, and that would just be the stock footage that you would see for an animation for anybody winning a championship in a ladder/TLC match. Just the exact same animations there. Now, with the DLC, you also had 3 more storylines brought up there. You had one more match being the Christian Randy Orton 2011 feud, which I believe the only thing that was missing here was their steel cage match that officially ended the feud after SummerSlam. You had the Hall of Pain one for Mark Henry, somebody gonna get the ass kicked, which I think they could have included the triple threat steel cage match from Royal Rumble 2012 with Daniel Bryan and Big Show. They also threw in a couple weird iffy matches where he faced the Usos and as well as the WrestleMania 29 match against Ryback. felt a bit out of place. So, like I said, they could have used at least the 2012 Royal Rumble match at least in there. And you also had Path of the Warrior for the Ultimate Warrior with some of his matches with from all the way from SummerSlam 88 to WrestleMania 12. I mean, thank goodness they didn't add the match against Goldust, where it involved a lot of smoking cigars and time stalling. So, a good array of DLC there, but there also something involved in that, which I'll get into in just a moment. Now, you also had other DLC in here, because you had wrestlers brought in, and it becomes a point of a lot of criticism. So, with the one more match 2K Showcase mode, like for DLC, you had another version of Alberto Del Rio, Christian, Edge, Mark Henry 2011, Randy Orton 2011, and Sheamus 2011. For the Hall of Pain, you had another version of Big Show, Daniel Bryan, both of the Usos in their retro form, Kane, another Mark Henry, another Randy Orton, a different version of Ryback, another Sheamus, and another Great Khali. Then Path of the Warrior, Andre, Bobby Heenan, Colonel Mustafa aka the Iron Sheik, General Adnan, Honky Tonk Man, another version of Hogan, the POW like version that it says here, Old School Triple H from his Hunter Hearst Helmsley days, Jimmy Hart, Paul Bearer, Randy Savage, Rick Rude, Sensational Sherry, Sergeant Slaughter, Ultimate Warrior from 88 to 96, and Undertaker 91. You had the NXT Arrival Pack, so you had Adam Rose, Emma, GBL, Connor, and Victor of the Ascension. You had some new moves added in there. The WCW Pack, of course, you had Bam Bam Bigelow, DDP, Finlay, aka Funlay, Luger, and Lord Steven Regal, two versions of Hogan, both versions of Sting. And you also had Paige added in there, like as part of the Season Pass, so that was a nice addition there. But you saw a repetition in there with the roster because you get these DLCs and you get new wrestler slots on the roster of just the exact same wrestler. So you could do like an all-man tag match of like all versions of Randy Orton, like in a six-man tag against like all versions of Sheamus or Roberto Del Rio. Just you could have just had him as another slot for like the exact same wrestler instead of just being able to do like constant mirror matches or any of these tags. Now, also courtesy of the SmackDown Hotel, I got a reminder here about the match types that we had for the full list, which was a little odd to see on the menu screens and everything, because it's like, you look at you can choose your matches, but it's just like the triple threat image that you had on there. You had Cena giving Cesaro an AA, which is like, where's the third person for that? Four-man tag, you just showed the Wyatt family teaming together. Six-man tag, that at least made sense because you had Evolution and the Shield. Royal Rumble worked there. One of the Usos being there for the tournaments was a little weird. But you had 11 different type of matches for singles. Normal, Extreme Rules, Falls Count Anywhere, Hell in a Cell, Iron Man, Last Man Standing, etc. I can't remember if Inferno Match was still in the last gen version. Like, my memory's a bit foggy on that. But you had a lot of specialty matches in here, multi-man matches, so that's a good touch there. The roster. So as I mentioned, there were a lot of repeats, because like some of these that are like have multiple versions, like Alberto Del Rio, you got 3 versions of the guy in there. Like, holy crap. A couple versions of Batista and Big Show. Let's see, other ones. A couple versions of CM Punk added in there. 3 versions of Daniel Bryan. Like I said, they could have just given him as like different attires in there, even if they also have to adjust the movesets for these specific kind of like wrestlers for these new attires and like informs and everything like that. 3 different versions of Kane, which I remember very well. 4 versions of Randy Orton. All right, that's one too many. Okay, I'm sorry, but that's too many different versions of one exact guy. Now, one of the biggest criticisms that's got to go along, like, I got 2 further pieces of criticism here for the episode. The gameplay. They really slowed the pace down on this one, where it kind of felt like a snail's pace when it comes to just how these matches flowed whenever you play them. Like, you do a German suplex and it looks like you're playing the game at half speed. It's like trying to play 2K18 on the Switch, okay? Just like slow, be like, oh, suplex, boing. So it's just like, felt kind of sluggish, especially compared to other games where it felt a bit more like, I don't know if it was going like that simulation style, but it's just like that slow motion, like gameplay and everything just did not feel right. But the biggest criticism we got here is my career mode. So it's like, I know it was their first time doing this, but the execution was really poor because the whole premise was just have matches and just keep going. Try to get on these shows and have matches. No real storylines. Rarely any cutscenes. If you win a championship, you can decide, oh, you can defend it or have another match. But if you don't defend your championship, you get stripped of it because, oh, you didn't defend it enough times. Even if it's just like for one match. And if you defend it too many times, they'll still strip you of the title anyway. You got guys going against like, you got to go against guys like Baron Blade. And that's become a meme online and everything. Every time you have a match, afterwards you just get an email saying that, oh, we don't have anything lined up for you, but we'll let you know if you're in line for a push. Even if you're the champion, they'll still say that. It's like, I'm already being pushed. I'm the guy. So it's just like, it felt like a lot of laziness for just copy-paste just to get this mode done with. I'm glad that they were able to improve on it years later on, like, except for 2K20, of course. But it's just like a lot of copy-paste. And I think I played this game and remembered something that if you turn heel in my career mode, nothing's going to turn you babyface again. So it's like, if you turn heel once, you're stuck with it all the way to the end. And then afterwards, like, you made it in WrestleMania, oh, it's time, we're fast-forwarding in time, you have to retire. Time to have a retirement tour, and who do you want to be your last opponent? You can choose, like, Baron Blade or, like, Daniel Bryan or whoever. And you can lose if you want, or you can just be a sword sport, just be like, nah, that doesn't work for me, brother. So, yeah, this, like, the game had its intrigue when we first saw it. Because, like I said, we were all mesmerized by the, like, starter screenshots and footage and everything like that, because it was on a new console. But then the execution was pretty substandard. Like, again, it would have to... I get it was the first time trying to make a wrestling game on these generation of consoles, but it just didn't feel like a lot of planning was done to try to make it as best as it could. Like I said, with the pacing of the gameplay, my career mode being completely lackluster, and either the worst or maybe the second worst version of my career / my rise, again, compared to 2K20. A lot of repeats with these wrestlers on the roster that didn't need to keep taking on multiple spots, etc. Like, the pre-order bonus, I will say, was a nice thing. Like I said, I still got the items, except for the box and everything, still here in my possession, but this isn't one of those games that people really are going to have a lot of replayability, like, dealing on, compared to, like, other versions of the game, like, in the 2K franchise, like, maybe, like, 2K19 or something like that. But yeah, let me know in the comment section below, what is everybody's memories of the playing WWE 2K15? Like, I think I've got enough, like, about as many achievements as I can on the Xbox 360 version to the point where I don't need to go back and try to unlock anything else. At least I hope not. But anyway, let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed today's episode of the podcast, folks, please remember, leave a like, subscribe to the bell, turn on here on YouTube, comment what you thought below. I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for listening, folks. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace out, and good day, everybody.